Welcome to Money and Market, a program that explains the economy in plain language for everyone to understand. And of course, it is a program that shows you how the economy affects you, everything around you, especially your pocket. All right, today we'll be looking at a very critical topic, and it is something that affects you and I as well, like we said in our previous episode. But today, we'll be looking at the reason why prices keep rising and is not commensurate with what you earn. In other words, why is it that your money cannot buy you exactly what it used to buy? There's a reason why that happens. Just one word in economic terms: inflation. Now, many of you must have heard a lot about the word inflation. Today we'll excuse me, today we'll break down things really nicely and simplified in order for even the market woman and of course those in the street to understand what inflation is all about. Now, simply put, like I said, we're not going into those economic jargons, but simply put, inflation means prices rising over time. The way the price rises over time, the general, rise in price is what inflation is all about. So when inflation, for instance, goes up, the value of money goes down. When inflation, I want you to take note of this because as we go deeper into the discussion today, you will get to understand why I set this line now, that when inflation goes up, the value of your money goes down. Let's take a critical example. If 10,000 naira bought, a full bag of food items like last year or let's say a couple of years ago, but today that same amount of money, which is 10,000 naira, now buys half of that bag of food items, then what just happened is inflation. All right, what just happened is inflation. So what Nigerians experience every day, the increase, especially when you see them at uh, fuel stations, in terms of transport hike, in terms of rentage that is up, and yes, in terms of what we see in the market every day, this is exactly what we refer to as inflation. When you see the hike in foodstuff in the market, at fuel stations, in the transport industry, those of you who travel a lot, you get to understand what I'm saying. And of course, for those of you who pay rent, when your rent is due, your landlord or the owner of the property where you reside or where you do your business will come and say there's a rise in an increase in your rentage. All this is what inflation is all about. Now, let's look at something on the screen for us to define what inflation is all about, for you to grasp what inflation is all about. Now, like I said, inflation is a rising uh, cost of items in prices as against your money in your pocket. So inflation equals to rising prices, right? So invariably, what money buys less over time. Um, you can see how the naira or the note is shrinking in size. I mean, if we have that a clip on it is the reason why we have transport costs going up. Inflation is the reason why your salary feels